Kemper, Profiler, Tones and Talks, Season 2. Legends, Tributes. Today we're talking about Mr. Robert Fripp. Hello everybody, we're back with Season 2 and the Legends Tributes from the collection number 4, created and performed by Mr. Thomas Dill. He's again our guest. Big honor, thank you. And today we are going to talk and analyze the tone Thomas created for about the Robert Fripp performance with David Bowie's Heroes, if I'm correct.
Right. Yeah, he was the guitar player in the original recording. And he created some really very interesting sound where many guitar players searched for what did he do on that recording. Did he use an EBow? Did he use feedback? What did he play? And some really weird stuff. So we're going into that. And the hardest thing is, so for me, how to recreate that, because it's quietly impossible. But I did my humble attempt to recreate that sound on that one. You heard it already.
Yeah, so it sounds like feedback on the original recording, but of course, to hold that for such a long time and maybe drop in, drop out, whatever, we don't know, or do we know? Is there
we know.
We know. Okay,
I know.
Okay, then
it's I will let you know. So let's dive into it.
Yes.
And some of the song facts here. So Heroes, the song, was composed by David Bowie and Brian Eno, and it was released on the album Heroes in 1977. And they recorded that in Berlin at Hansa Studios, very famous place in Berlin. And the producers were David Bowie and the legendary Tony Visconti. And the guitar that Robert Fripp used was a Gibson Les Paul. I think it was a custom Black Beauty or something like that. Here you see them. In front is Brian Eno, in the middle the man with the Les Paul, Robert Fripp, and on the piano David Bowie, the young David Bowie. And I think he had the Les Paul modified with 3 pickups. Another picture. Now Bowie's playing. And the amp he used was, not confirmed. Some people say he played directly into the desk because he had no amp. He flew from New York to Berlin and had just his guitar with him. And but I think he used an amp which was in the studio available. And you see the 3 guys here standing in front of the backside of, I think it's a Marshall SLP 100.
What's an SLP?
SLP, Super Lead Plexi.
Ah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The famous amp from the 60s and 70s. And this is the SLP 100, non-master volume, very loud. And I think to create this huge feedback and overdriven tone, he used a fuzz or a boost pedal, something in front of the amp, because the amp has not that much gain, but it's the tone sings very, very much. These things, all but the Les Paul, are not confirmed. This is just what I suggest that he might have used. But something is confirmed, that is the recording. And I found that in a really nice video from Tony Visconti, where he explains how they recorded these parts. And Robert Fripp recorded 3 tracks, and he recorded them separately. So when he played the second track, or the overdub, he didn't listen to the first track. And then, Visconti thought, hey, that sounds really great, mixing those 3 tracks together. And he played long notes with feedback. And to get that feedback and to get the right feedback, everybody knows it's really hard. And so at soundcheck, you have the right feedback tone, then you move the guitar a little bit further in the gig. You don't have the feedback tone, you're looking like a poor man then. So they made markers on the floor for the best position for the different notes, the different tone of feedback. And additional to that, Brian Eno added a synth part while Robert Fripp was recording his guitar part. So something, they were reacting on themselves. And there's a nice quote from Tony Visconti, who said, "You can't buy a pedal like that. It was made by 2 smart people." And that's, So this is the main problem of this sound. Synth part, 3 guitar parts, feedback. How do you recreate that? And you can't recreate that. But Bowie played that song live too. And the first thing you can do to have this singing tone is taking this guy. And that's what Jerry Leonard did. He's the guitar player, one of my favorite guitar players in the Bowie band, I think since 2002 or something like that, in the last band they had. And he played this part, wait a minute, with... So here you get that sound and you get that feedback, but not everybody has an EBow, and not everybody likes to play an EBow. And it's hard when you switch from EBow playing and then normal playing with a pick or with a finger. You have this EBow here in your hand, and it's different. You can just take a pick and switch to finger picking, because the pick is really small, but the EBow is not really small, and it's not great to switch between different playing styles. So I decided, taking the other way, take what I have in the profiler and beef the sound up to the limit with some effects and some other stuff. So here is the sound in the rig manager. Here we are. You find that Legends Tribute Collection in the rig packs. Go down. Here's the 1, 2, 3, and Legends Tribute Collection number 4 is below. And Robert Fripp. This is the sound. And I switch everything off. You see, there are a lot of effects going on here. I didn't took my favorite Marshall amp. I decided to take a high watt DR504 from Bert Moellendijk's rig pack. It's here. Where is he? This one, Hybrid Crunchy. I took this as the bass sound for this tone. And gain is at 3.5, EQ in the middle, definition for a warmer tone at 4.6. Nothing fancy. And then I started with a natural reverb. You hear it? Just without the reverb. And this is a really large reverb. So decay time is at 3.7 seconds, room size at 8, a little bit of pre-delay, and the mix level at 55%. So really much on reverb. The idea behind that is I want to have everything going on which gives me longer tones, longer, more sustain, and again sustain. That's what I need. The Les Paul humbucker neck pickup is turned up all the way, so maximum volume on the guitar. And then, very important thing is Kemper fuzz. So I took that one. You hear it already. It goes into the octave tone. It's great on that guitar. And that fuzz gives me really a sustained note. So drive is at 6.1, volume at 0, trans shape 10, trans tone all the way down. So a really muffled, very warm tone, definition at 0. So really, woolly warm tone. And mix level at 100%, octa at 0. So extreme settings here. And studio EQ, just to give them that tone a high cut at 6.1 K and a low cut, and a little bit of lower mids, minus 0.4 dB at 1.4 K hertz. But this is just smooth cosmetic fine-tuning in the frequency range, nothing fancy. Important is the next one. The first one is the noise gate, because I need that noise gate because it's getting really noisy. And the next thing is important, the compressor. Compressor behind the fuzz to boost the sustained note. So fuzz gives me a longer sustained note, and when it's getting lower, the compressor starts boosting that tone. So additional sustain from this compressor. And this is how it sounds like. So it's a quite long tone. I've just turned the fuzz and the compressor off. So the Les Paul has a lot of sustain, but you can't get that long note, long distorted note without fuzz and compressor. And I tried the compressor in front of the fuzz. I will do that now. Listen to that. For me, the sound at the end of the note is getting a little bit gritty. And this is, I don't know why, because the compressor is in front. When you place that compressor behind the fuzz, you don't have that one, that sound, that gritty sound at the end of the note. So it sounds really smooth at nearly the same level. Okay, next guy to give some longer notes is the 2-tap delay. I play it without compressor and fuzz. You hear it on the left and the right, and it has feedback at 69%, so much feedback. The mix level at 82%, and yeah, quarter note and 8-note repeat, and a little, yeah, much high cut. Nothing else, a little bit of modulation, a little bit of grit to get a more distorted delay tone, and no ducking at all. So yeah, the delay is loud at every time, or at the same level every time when I'm playing. And with the compressor and the fuzz, it sounds like that. So that's enough for the song to have yeah, some bars of whole notes in sustained same level played. So this is basically the guitar part of basically enough for the guitar part to play the guitar part, but I added an ionosphere reverb to that. Just, yes.
I have a question.
Yes, Thomas.
It's most likely a stupid question.
Yeah.
Because to ask why you did this is, I think, kind of stupid. I just realized that I would have approached this completely differently. And
okay,
we had this before. And in the end, I always have to say, well, you always get the more, I don't know, fuller, more analog, more fitting to the retro idea sound.
I'm the analog guy.
and well, I would have simply, cranked the gain up the wazoo and maybe have used an boutique high gain amp where I would have decreased the definition to get also a little bit more of a Vulia full tone, and then add a booster or two and maybe even a distortion, and then with a gate. But I'm sure again the tonal quality would be a different one, because what were you going for when you decided to use the fuzz? Because you know that in the 70s the only possibility was a fuzz.
Yeah. I've when I'm doing these Legends sounds, I'm first of all, I'm thinking about what did the guys use at that time, what was available at that time, trying to recreate the tone as original with profiles, amps, and effects as possible. So this is the first way where it leads me to. The other thing is, so I definitely would not think about using maybe a 5150 amp or something like that, because it wasn't available at that time.
Sure.
There were coming a lot of comments when you don't use that stuff. Oh no, it wasn't 75. They didn't use the 6505 amp or something like that, or Mesa Boogie rectifiers. Maybe you get a similar sound or something like that, but this is my attempt at traditional way. And I really like stacking overdrives, boosters, and amp tones. So that means if you have a high gain sound, I divide the gain levels onto the overdrive, the amp, and the boost. So that means less gain everywhere to create the high gain sound. And with the fuzz, you get a lot of character. Sometimes you just I did that in
that's it. Yeah. That always is the difference. That's what I realized, and that's what I meant. That your results always have more, whatever, depth, more mojo in the end, and not so much of the streamlined, super designed long thing. But there's more, and while you're playing, there are also then these nuances you can hear that make the difference to the, take a modern amp and just boost.
I really love to play with dynamics, love to play with the volume knob. So this is something where I go to every time. And I don't like really too much compressed tone. So, but here I'm using the very much compressed tone. But in a way, it should support the song or should support the part. And that's the compressed tone is needed. But with this, let's call it vintage flavor.
And also interesting because of you learn exactly that thing that where the special sauce comes from. That makes such a difference for the people in terms of the tone and the interpretation of the guitar player compared to an easy way, which is also much easier to play in a way than a different approach. Interesting. Thank you for opening this up, because it's a different way of thinking. Go on. This was just I was curious about.
Great. Okay. So next one is, here we are, Ionosphere reverb. So this is just my, let's say, simulation of the synth part. It's a reverb with a pitch shifted signal, which is pitched an octave higher on both sides. And decay time of 4.4 seconds, mix level not really much, 19%, and a little bit of attack time, 0.33 seconds. And this is how it sounds. Oh, wait a minute. You hear the Angels Choir. So this is just, kill me for that one. It's not the traditional way. This is the modern way. This is maybe how they would play it these days, with these octave sounds and pumped up a little bit for atmospheric sounds. And if you don't have a keyboard player or anyone who wants to play these synth parts, maybe the keyboarder plays just chords on the piano, there's this 8-note part pattern which should be played. So you have something special going on if you want to. And that's quite about it with this tone. And I have something special because people always ask, it was my thoughts too. So how do I get this feedback tone? Really, you need to watch, everybody needs to, who is interested in that sound needs to watch this YouTube video of Tony Visconti, where he explains what they did on that recording. It's really fantastic. And I watched that in to prepare for that sound installing, and I thought, oh, this is really hard to get, and feedback is a hard thing when you play in the studio with a profiler at lower level, or if you play on stage with in-ears. Getting a feedback tone is really hard. Last time I went to a producer playing some parts in the studio, and he said, "Hey, I need some feedback tone." Sitting in here in the control room, and I just said, "Hey, you need to turn the speakers up." I can't get feedback without volume. But I thought, shit, I should have brought this guy with me. I don't know if you know this one. This is, it's from a German company, Vibesware.
Looks like a gooseneck thing.
Gooseneck, yeah.
So there's this. Yeah. So what's the black thing on the top? Because we can't see that.
You see that?
Oh, I see the light. Okay.
Okay. This is something. Yeah, quite similar to an EBO.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem that I mentioned before, you have the EBO in your hand, and it's hard to play. And it's everybody who knows to play with an EBO, who's used to play with an EBO, knows it's hard to get the incoming tone, and it doesn't really switch from played note to feedback to these overtones. And this guy is really great. So you connect the guitar into this pedal on the mic stand. I have it mounted on the mic stand.
Mm-hmm.
Have a volume control. Oh, different here. Volume control, guitar input, guitar output to the profiler.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is on. And when I want to have feedback, I try, you see?
Yeah.
The blue lights here.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to have that feedback. Compressor and the Ionosphere reverb.
So what does it do? And do you need to point it?
Yeah,
on
you
the neck, or
you see,
I would have thought you'd point it more to the pickup area.
No, you need to point it on the string.
Okay.
On the string where you play, and you need to go really close to it. You see, the point is getting smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And if you focus the string, so now the B string. Wait a minute. So it's really helpful to have that in the studio.
What does it do? How does it work?
It's they have it on their website whereby they just a little bit tell about the way they produce. It's they've set the string in vibration with a magnetic field.
Okay, is it basically the same idea they use for these sustainers, where
maybe sustainer pickups and the EBO stuff? You know, you have also the blue light, but it's not the blue light. But you have to focus the string. for getting this feedback.
That's maybe a fast switching magnetic thing. I had once after you get crazy ideas after you meet amazing people. I visited once Thomas Nordek at his place in LA, and he has this. There's a video. No, there are two videos out there. He has this amazing pedalboard system, and also he modifies with the help of Mr. Spalt in Vienna. The Steve Vai guitars, and he has always a wireless built in to the guitars, a kill switch, and a sustainer he had. And after that, I was trying that. I was convinced I need a sustainer as well, and had to try to build one in. This was a big disaster and cut two big holes into my into the white Ionosphere.
The white beauty one.
Yeah. So the backside is pretty like the moon. a lot of craters. And this worked so. And you have to satisfy the complete neck pickup for it. And when it was on, it had this annoying searing, disturbing sound which blew into the other pickup, so it was not so easy. So this sounds okay. You can get close to it.
And you get with that one, you get a real. You need to practice with that. Yeah,
sure.
You get a, let's say, normal feedback tone. So you have the played note, and then it switches over very smooth into the feedback tone. And this is something you can't do with the EBow. So this is a great tool, and it's not really much expensive. I think it's about €200 or something like that.
Okay, pretty interesting. And yeah, so still a myth how they did it at that studio. I mean, okay, if you crank up the amp really loud and you are at the positions which were marked on the floor, I can imagine. Yeah, those were the days where they really had to become pretty creative to...
They worked hard. Worked hard for their tones.
Yeah, and doing stuff that was never done before. We have to realize that for us to go back and listen, okay, they created this tone on this record. We go back and have all the information, all the tools from today. But they had not the tools, and they had no blueprint for what they might have been going for, because it had to completely come out of the creative mind. Pretty interesting. And awesome concept. And the good thing is, try this at home, because you have now the possibility to do so. Check out the full Legends Tribute Collection video number 4, because you're doing the demo there, basically. And get the rig pack and try how it works with your guitars. And do not forget to get all the other Legend Tribute collections as well, because also there's interesting stuff on there. And I think if we've covered so far everything, let's wrap it up for today. Thanks a lot, Thomas, again.
Welcome.
And see you at the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.